Hello there. Welcome back to this world creation tutorial for Unity, especially for VRChat. I haven't been in this project for over 2 weeks now, and it's feeling good to be back and to show you a few more tricks on our road to release a known map. Even with my first tutorial video, you kind of were able to just bring out a simple world, because you don't need to think about all the things that we do here. You do not to know everything. You just get better over the weeks and months and years when you do this stuff. But you have to start somewhere. A former boss I worked for in the gaming industry said to me, make a start and make a finish, and you do have a game. And for everything in between, you take the time and, of course, the money you have. And that's it. You just make something to have something. You don't should lose yourself in perfectionism. You know, the AA industry, for example, often achieves games that sometimes feel a bit janky and have, those titles have a lack of atmosphere in certain places, not because they would not be able to do that, but because they they don't have the extra time and money for it, but they finished. Nothing is perfect, and if you wait until everything is perfect, you'll probably never finish. And that is nothing you want to suffer on, I bet. So the first topic today is post-processing. What is post-processing? Post-processing is when the scene is already done and the image is rendered with all the 3D stuff and light in it, and you give an extra, like a filter over it. Kinda every game uses that. On Quest, it is a bit expensive, so usually you don't do that for Quest. But even if you want to make a world for both platforms, you can implement that. Because for PC, it definitely works. What do you need to do and to know? There are 3 different kinds, in my opinion, how to use post-processing in a fancy way. And let's see. Here in meta or head, I usually put the stuff you don't see in the scene, but it works in the background. And here it makes sense to create a new object, just an empty object, and we call it PostPro. And then we go to our main camera, and at first we need to say to our camera that it allows to apply that filter. So post-process, and then we see certain things. So at first we need a layer on top of your camera, of the main camera. And the layer, usually you use a layer that's not used by something else. So usually you do it with water. It is like an industry standard. Layers are these here, layer. You're usually on the default layer, but you have also layers on where the player or just the local player is rendered, or the pickup items that are movable. And these are the layers that definitely also VRChat uses. And you can add own layers if you want, but the water level usually you don't use. So you set it on the water layer, and then it's kind of already set up. Then you go in the post-processing and you set this layer to water for it to work. Often people are like, oh, my post-processing is not working. Yeah, because it is not on the correct layer. It can be static, and then you need a volume, and then we need a new profile. We can put it anywhere. Let's just go in maybe animation and click on new. Okay, it is in scenes. Okay, wherever, doesn't matter. And then you click on add effect, Unity, and then what you want. Depth of field is the camera effect that just keeps at certain distance everything in focus. I wouldn't recommend that for VR because it could lead to motion sickness. lens distortion is comparable, then you have usually lenses distort the light. So to the borders, the lenses are a bit more deformed. But yeah, usually I don't like if VR worlds do too fancy effects. You know, the things on avatars when they create a room around you that that are all with heckin' flashy effects, and that can be very annoying. And that the same thing is also for worlds. Motion blur, it's the overkill when everything smears when you look around. The overkill for VR, in my opinion. Chromatic aberration is when the red, green, and blue channels kind of split. So the cheap cameras have that effect. That effect can also be used for giving the feeling like someone is on drugs, or if you get hit by an axe in a game and like you get some on your head, and then you're like disoriented, and then you can like split the colors a bit. Auto exposure is not really needed. You have everything you need in color grading. Color grading is the only thing I always would say it makes sense. When you click on tone mapping, it is kind of the typical Instagram filters. If you do it on ACES, then you usually have a more filmic experience. Why is it not working? Because it is not set to global, so set up for everywhere. This tone mapping, but also causes the area to darken quite some. So you might want to auto exposure 1 to make it a bit brighter again, but keep the strong pushy contrasts that comes with these ACES filter. I don't say to you use ACES. You have other filters and you can do your own. So you have here the color. You see the temperature. Temperature is kind of shifting the colors, more to red or blue. So red makes warm appearance and blue cold experience. I could say I make it a bit warmer, because a bit warmer is often cozy, and because we are working with fire here for light, I would say it fits. And tint is just changing it on the color wheel. Then you can make a complete custom color, while temperature is like on the Kelvin scale. So on the how light usually reacts, so this here usually when it gets redder, then it's usually indeed, don't be confused, colder, and it's hotter, the color of light, when it gets bluer. You can think about a sun. If a sun is burning blue, then it's a fat sun that is very hot, and also flames out of usually if you just light your cigarette, then you have more a red colored flame. But if you have a Bunsen device, if you're in the laboratory and you have very hot flames, more than 1000 degrees, then you usually get more bluish tints. Color filter, hue shift. I mean, hue, it's just, you see the wheels down here. You could also just lift, gamma, and gain are kinda the shadows, the midtones, and the high for your level. Gamma, for example, are the midtones. They try to affect the midtones without washing out highlights or the shadows. And so you can definitely do completely what you want for your appearance here, your overall experience. You can add more effects than just one, of course. Vignette, for example, is interesting if you want to animate it. So you have like a eye blink effect. Grain adds some more realism, because films usually would have grain on it. But do you need it when you experience it kind of yourself? Because this is a first-person game, and if you're the observer and not a camera, I don't know if you need much grain then. Screen space reflections are not recommended for VR, because usually an image of what you see in the world gets inverted on the y-axis, and then blurred into reflective surfaces, so you can have kind of fake mirroring everywhere. You can do that if you create like a long cathedral hall and the polished marble on the ground should reflect the pillars. I mean, of course, ambient occlusion adds kind of fake shadows everywhere. Yeah, I don't know. It's also an affected, for example, multi-scale volumetric obscuring intensity. Yeah, you can. It's maybe not visible. Yeah, it is. You see that there where the light doesn't reach. I don't recommend that for VR. First thing you see that it is cloudy. The effect is just faked, and the problem is this is on. Usually, it appears on photographs. If you make screenshots in VRChat, then those shadows would be all over the wrong places. So if you put that in the world, make a toggle to turn it off, because ambient occlusion in this case, these shadows would be offsetted from your camera if you do pictures and screenshots in the world, and that is often not fancy. So I wouldn't do that for this one, but the other thing that is also often used is bloom. So bloom and color grading is usually what you see in worlds. These two. It makes everything that is bright glow. So everything that is emitting is emitting light will kind of add lighter pixels around themselves. So intensity and threshold are here the important options. So if you say intensity to 0.3 and the threshold is kind of now you see if we have no threshold, then everything is a bit bloomy. Yeah. So intensity 3, that is a high intensity. Then you see that the windows and around the flames, you get more of this shimmer effects. We don't have many real-time thingies in our world. It works better with real-time lights, of course. But everything that is kind of bright will bloom a bit. And you see that it doesn't do much, but the windows get a nice little glow and around the torches. So just be careful around real-time lights, because if intensity 3 is much, for baked light you might need that, but real-time lights that are set with too much intensity might totally overblur everything. So this is kind of how you set up these extra effects. If you upload it on Quest, you just deactivate the whole thing. It's better, but you keep it in your hierarchy, because the Quest version would be confused if something is missing. That's on the PC version. And I said that there are different ways to set up those effects. I give you an example, and we create a cube. Where is the cube? Let's just there. So in the gizmos, I deactivate the probes because it is annoying for my eye, and I bet for yours too. And you see exactly how to prevent that. Light probe group, if you just deactivate it here in the gizmos, then you don't see it. It is kind of, oh, you have a non-static object there. I show you from which light probes this cube will be affected. So, and if we scale this up, and then we say this cube is now a post-process volume, then it would mean the effect is just in this cube. I showed you the global option. The second one is the local option. So imagine this is water. That could be water, and if you go into the water, you might want a post-processing effect. So we could add on the cube a post-process volume and put it to not global. You see, when we put it not to global, then it is this green box, and that shows, oh, this is a zone in which your vision gets changes. You need, of course, a new one then, a new profile, because these objects contain the data kind of about the post-processing, but now you need a new one. So we go in here, and then, I show you. The cube, of course, needs to be on water to work. And then you set something up like Unity. How about color grading again, but the exposure goes. Yeah. Why does it apply? Because our camera is here. It sometimes you think, huh? Why doesn't it apply when I go into the box? Because you're here in the scene view and not in the game view. The game view camera is already right in the box here on the start. You can see that if I move it out, whoop, it is gone. Zoop, it is there. You see, it depends on the camera that is affected by. And this overrides now the global effect. And you could say -10 and it is black. Imagine you want a black blend or something like that. It doesn't make sense here, but for example, you could say, I want that my gamma going to heckin' blue. Why not making everything more blue? And you kill the red, and you kill the green, and you know that could be just I'm underwater now, and zoop, boom. Now you're in the effect zone. And here you could also say something like, why not make here chromatic aberration, intensity. You go up and everything blurs away. You see that these effects that's nothing you usually want to have. But for certain effects, like someone hits you with an axe, boof, boof, boof. You see now why these effects can be very, very nice. And this is the local way of setting up those effects. And the third one is the animated one. Because I already showed you how to make animations, but you can also animate this here, the weight of the post-process volume. You see this? Imagine you would have an effect that is like remove, add the effect of a vignette, and you say intensity to max. Where is it? I confuse myself. So, what did I do? What did I do? I deleted something. I'm silly. So the smoothness blurs the borders. So imagine you're like entering a new level, and then you animate this like this. You see? You blink. So if you set up an animation somewhere, like I already taught you with the windows, like on player trigger enter, you set bool of an animator, and in the animator, the bool then triggers an animation. This animation could be something like over 1 second, 0 turns to 1, and over the second, it turns back to 0, this weight. And then you have an animated transition between levels, because it's more pretty, for example, to make this for like a quarter second, and the script waits for this quarter second, then everything is changed. You're teleported, the old level despawns, the new level spawns, and then back to normal. You would you lose a quarter second, but you don't see the transition, and it's more pretty for the eye. It sounds more difficult than it is. I don't know if you want me to show you this, because it just is something we already made, just on a different case. You would just click on the recording button here and yeah, tweak it. So you put it on second 1 or second 0.25 and then drag it over to 1, and then you would have a keyframe from 0 to 1, and then you go to yeah. You don't need to do anything, but you could also just delete the first keyframe that says 0 and put the 1 on 0. So there's just one keyframe telling weight 1, but the default is weight 0. And in the animator, the transition here is the quarter second to that 1 weight. And when you transition back a quarter second, then you have the transition where this blurs out. Because these transitions, you see them here, everything is transitioning here, down there. Yeah. You see the transition duration. Here it's 3 seconds, but put it on 0.25 seconds to an animation that says the weight is on 1 and you're done. And this is kind of everything that you would need to know about post-processing. And you can go as deep into the topic as you would like. Other things, what I need in this world, because it should be an avatar world, are, of course, avatar pedestrals. It's the same with portals. You don't need to craft them yourselves. They are already in here. So if I show you different things you can add, I need to search this for myself, though, because, you know, I'm a friend of you don't need to know anything right away when someone asks you, hey, what is this and that? You don't need to memorize every single thing. Game design is such a wide topic. You just need to know it exists and where to find. So let's see. When we go from the assets down to the packages, I guess it is in the packages, and we search here for VRC, pedest with an asterisk maybe. Pedestral. Avatar. What we have here. Search in packages. Avatar utilities. There it is. Avatar Pedestral. It is in samples, Udon example scene, prefabs, avatar Pedestral. We just drag and drop it here in our scene so we have it. And this is everything you need. So you can't see them here and you can't see them in play mode, but you will see them in VRChat. Because, yeah, the add-on that shows you the stuff and lets you test stuff in the world also cannot show you, for example, YouTube players. They are also deactivated when you test them here in Unity, but they will be there in VRChat later. So I go into another window, what you can't see, and I copy a cute avatar, one by Legacy Two Tails, for example, and then I scroll down and you know, you could just I just create us a new tab and I put in the link, and then in the link you usually have this here, copy the ID of the avatar. It is vrchat.com/home/avatar/ and then it is the ID. And this ID you set in here, in the blueprint ID. It needs to be a public avatar, otherwise it will be an error. And this is everything you need to do. You're done. Great job. That was so difficult. Not. You see, the green one is the front, the red one is the back, and so you just set it wherever you want. I usually don't like the mesh because I don't need the pedestral down there. And this thing already shows you where the avatar picture to click and change into that avatar will appear. So we just align this to the wall. When I say it should be on the window, because there you have the avatars. Done. Yeah, see? Great job. That was so difficult. Yeah. So you have an Udon behavior use. Yeah, I don't know if you want to change the text. Change into avatar. We can even look into it. It is something that is by VRChat themselves. So on interact, set avatar use of the local player to get component VRChat avatar pedestral type. Yeah. And this is this year, Avatar Pedestral. Yeah, and because it is interact, it just works on click when you click on it. So you could just from continuous put it to manual. That would save computation time. So it's not constantly searching for your input, but just when you input, it manually does that. What makes more sense in my opinion. I don't know why they don't set it on manual. Manual is kind of when you use it. Continuous is for changing values that are ongoing. Yeah, and none is kind of deactivated. Yeah, of course. Always check your stuff before you publish your world, because you don't want people to have janky experiences in your worlds. But yeah, just and like that, I would just copy it over with all the avatars I want to show to the people. Yeah, this is the whole trick behind that. You, of course, in an avatar world, it makes sense to have a mirror. So we search for mirror because that is also something. VRChat mirror is already something that is. Imagine it is like a texture, and the texture has an invisible camera from behind. It looks this way, and then it inverts the image. So it takes an image here and inverts it, and then it puts it on this texture. So, and the camera is always pointing at the player. So you have the fake effect of a hack and mirror. It just adds like a virtual screen. And that's the reason why it can be computational expensive. And you should always set up a button to deactivate that again. So we can put it here on the wall. And we set it to the width of the wall and maybe a bit higher if you want to change into bigger avatars. Yeah. And now you have here a mirror. I would create an empty that I call avatar pedestrals because there will be multiple. So I have control and a better overview and everything's tidy. The mirror here, yeah, you could say we put it into meta because it is in the world, but it is kind of, in my opinion, a feature. How to set up a button, you say? Want to make an easy button right now with me? You can, of course, make levers that are animated in different states, or button pushes, little light switches, whatever. Or you make it way easier. Let's make an easy button. So let's create something like create a 3D object that is a sphere, and we call it button slash or underbar mirror. And then the usual trick, Control Shift F to put it where we are. We make it small, and this is our button to press. Of course, you can always use Google to find stuff that other people do. Sometimes it is the best solution to search if someone else already solved your problem. So you just use prefabs, you use Unity packages you can often get for free from sources. There are whole websites that does nothing more than share what people already did, so you don't need it. But I often like to do my own solutions for such simple things because it keeps the brain active and you can do whatever you want to it. Yeah. So you're not limited by what the creator wants. So another nice little trick. We backroll. Click on this link chain until it is showing the chain, and if you then change the size of one of the axes, the other axes follow along with it. And then you could just right click. In the last video I showed you text. So why not use the Text Mesh Pro? We need to import it first. Of course. Let me just take a sip of my drink while we import. Ah, better. Yeah, talking and talking and talking without much breathing definitely makes your tongue dry after some time. So now we have everything in here, even more than we need. Why is the mirror like that? Well, to be honest, I don't know. That's just VRChat and Unity, and especially when they are together, they might cause weird things, but it should be there when everything refreshes. And if it does, we will find a solution. Don't fret, my friends. We always will find a solution for everything happen. So we get smaller, and then we put it here, and we call it just like mirror toggle. It is very glowy. And you know why? Because of our post-processing. Our post-processing sees, oh, it's white. So add all the blur. Add all the blur. That is the reason why you should always, yeah. See? We just go down with the white value and it's gone. I don't want the mirror to look like that. We will see if that keeps like that. So, on this button, you can put it as a trigger, and then you add an udon component, because the udon is always the thing you need. I always set it on manual usually, because it doesn't need to be active all the time. So just delete what we have in the search bar. We go into animation and we create a new here that is called button switch. So we have something like, we put it in here, and it should be something on click. So we say on interaction, event interact. I always click spacebar to open this menu because it's quicker. And then interaction is also just on the local player, so you can keep it like that. You don't need to tweak stuff. And then you set game object, or we just create the game object first, because that should be the mirror, game object. And if we already learned in the beginning, but it's always nice to repeat stuff to learn it better, we set it to public, we call it mirror or obby mirror, so we always know what we do. And then we just drag and drop this out and say enable set. Am I stupid? Set enable. Maybe I'm stupid right now, because usually game object that. Oh gosh, heck. Yeah, enable active, yes, no. Set active. You see, I do it for years now, and I'm confused because sometimes it is enabled, sometimes it is active. So you set it on active. True? Nah. You get active self, and then you say, and you look what you are, and then unary negation. So the opposite of it, and that switches it back and forth. That's all. You can make a click sound to make it, more immersive, or you don't do it. It's up to you. The mirror should be per default off to don't drag performance if it's not wanted. And that's kinda done if you set mirror reflection. What player local is only meant to be seen in first person view and should not be enabled on mirrors. I didn't change anything, dear VRChat. So whatever you did here is your own. What show players world? Yeah, players and world is usually more immersive. Then we set the mirror object here, and then toggle mirror as a kind of caption. Yeah, we set it on static because it wouldn't change. Of course, also the children wouldn't change. And then we have a little toggle here. Another thing that we could do, we could duplicate the button mirror and we make a button, how about 2025? Because when I put in avatars here that people liked on my channel on 2024, at some point up there will be 2025. And why not make it easy for our players and teleport them? So we shift the whole thing over. Shift the whole thing over. As flat as it can be. So. And then we call this subtext here jump to 2025. Just to make it nicer for the players. And then we could, I don't know which window it would be. I guess I need 20 windows for 2024. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah, those I think I need. And here could begin, you can change the point if it's not correct. So I move here where you want to teleport. And then you say something like, but think about it. If you change the teleport, if you now say create empty 2025, it's under the button. So if you move the button, you will also move those. I think that the button is fine right where it is, but if you ever move it, know that the hierarchy moves along with the parent. So we just do the trick again with Control-Shift-F. Then we are exactly here. And we are fine. We have now our static teleport point where we want to teleport the player. And then we tell the udon script we need a different udon script now. So the button switch, we duplicate and call it, it is a button with the action to teleport. And then we click on the button for teleport. And we set in this script here, teleport to 2025. And we open this, and then we have button teleport here. On interact, this doesn't make sense anymore, so we can delete everything in here. But we need a new game object. Indeed, we don't need a game object. We need a transform. Because we set this to, I could call it 2025, but we want to, in 2026, have another button, and we don't want to do it again. So object-oriented working means goal, wherever. And then we how about player API? Teleport to. So when you use it, then get local player, just the local player, not everyone. And then from the transform, get the position and set the player to that position. And so that the player is not aiming against the wall, you also get the rotation of our point and set the quaternion to that rotation. Quaternion is just a bit more complicated than Euler and is for a direction from a point. So where you're directing from a point in a 3D space, and quaternions can prevent weird axis movements. Just for your trivia to know. And the goal is, of course, 2025 in this goal, 2025. And that's it. kinda easy. For the mirror toggle, you could make the toggle red and change it to green with an animation. So you drag and drop in animation a material on top of this sphere and make it green and then back to red so that you toggle back and forth. But to be honest, the mirror is right besides. This doesn't help the player at all. If you have the sphere to be color changing and the teleport is a button that does one action whenever you click it. It also doesn't change stages. If you change a state of something, then it makes sense to make different color materials and swap them with animations. It is not difficult, it's just fidgety, it consumes time. But in these cases here, this is not switching any state. This does, but it is right besides. Who can't know if the mirror is on or off would just look here or is blind. If you would have the toggle here and the mirror somewhere, okay, it makes sense. Well, but not in this case. So we save, yeah, always saving. And we can click on play and look if everything is breaking or if we have done well. Like I said, this here you can change the box a bit smaller so that it's not that fat. It would be the pedestral that you can click. I can show you how we make it more fancy in a minute. Toggle the mirror. Yeah, it's working again. Like I said, sometimes Unity or VRChat are doing things that are shitty. And teleport to 2025. Now we're up here. You see how easy it is if you know what you do. No fall damage. Yay! So let's go into the avatar pedestrals. And this pedestral, I don't like some of the default options. The first, we change it to trigger, so you can move through and are not stopped by that box. And the other thing, the box is a bit fat. Let's concentrate on the window and not on half of the stairs. But we can make it wider because it is the whole thing here that should make you change the avatar. Better! Yeah, we can also make a nice sound here, you know? If we teleport, that was kind of lame. You can do stuff like create empty, blink, and also create empty, swoosh. I just show you how to make it more fancy. You don't need it. It's like an extra. So on the blink, we add a post process volume because we now know the fancy stuff and we keep it on local and on 0. And we add a new profile. The blink profile now is always named like the object. Then we add Unity, something like the vignette, like I just showed you. And we push up this and the smoothness and let's make it just for testing purpose global. Of course, it needs the water layer again. I also often forget that. So now it is like a square. Now it is more round. Yeah, it makes sense. So, and we add the effect of auto exposure. Okay. No. I was just looking for some options, but I always like to use different effects than we already did because they are overriding each other. So, the color grading. We have already post exposure. Why don't we use something else to make it dark? Like the channels. Let's drag and drop the okay. No, that is not doing what we want. How about what if we change the contrast here? It's getting grayish and here it's getting more dark. The saturation gone. I think that is good enough. So we go back to 0. We set it not global. And then we have this blink effect here. And in swoosh, we can add an audio source. And of course, like we already learned, a spatial audio source. We disable spatialization though, because let's make it you have diegetic and exegetic sounds. I already mentioned that, yeah? Diegetic is when you have it in your world, like the torches burning, like the wind howling, stairs creaking when you walk over them. And exegetic is out of the world but immersive. So the music is out of the world but keeps immersion up and also effects like some sounds or UI clicks or whatever. So exegetic sounds are always good in 2D, and diegetic in 3D. Is if it's in the world, make it in the world. If it's not in the world, keep it like on your ears, like you not looping, not on awake, and never on 1. So such effects can be like a quarter of the volume to not like blast your ears away. And then we need a fancy sound effect, and that is totally to your liking. When I go in my SFX, wow, I like my RPG kit that I bought one day. Ancient UI sounds nice, huh? Button samples, beer bottles, nah. Magic wood sounds nice. We open with why not media player. Okay, this is a cute sound. I have it on another window if you're wondering. I just drag and drop it there. It's not really what I use. What is Lord of the Chorus? Just one. I mean, could be. This is more like a level up. This is more like a failure. Huh. This is just like if you accomplish stuff, yeah? I need a swoosh. I need a swoosh. How about airy magic? It's a bit long, but nice, but too long, in my opinion. Okay, this is way too much. Too much. No, this is just too long. You know, before it shouldn't be something like. It should be right on click and not something that is building up. Also, sorry for the loudness. Loop is not good for something that should be on one click. A hit. It is fine. Yeah, it is fine. On impact here. Yeah. Let's do with that. But let's put it in this here. So let's keep it sorted. And we just click on the swoosh. Could be something that can be used for every of the buttons that teleports you at some point. So we put it on top of them to make just one swoosh for every button and not one audio source on every button. You see, this is keeping up the performance. So we set the thing in here and then we crunch it a bit, just because it's always good to crunch everything. Look, from 2 megabytes down to 100 kilobytes, because it was a wave. And wave is usually so too much. So now we have everything that we need for the button to be more fancy. And now we add we need an animator, and we need an audio source. Both are public. The animator will be the blinker, and the audio source the swoosher. You can name it like you want, you know, you just need to know what you're doing. So the blinker and the swoosher. The swoosher just play. But it should also stop when it's finished. So you can just look into it. It lasts for 4 seconds. So you could do something like seconds, send custom event delayed seconds, 4 seconds. Then you make an event that says silence. I kill you. So, duplicate. Why do I duplicate that? No, you drag and drop it from here and say stop. So, blop. Wouldn't need that, but it's just cleaner. Set bool. La 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 la. And the ID 0 would be the first bool. So it's fine to set the first bool on 1 because we just have 1 there. I said that a quarter second is nice, yeah? Let's duplicate this. Yeah, let's duplicate this. And then we make the event custom eyes open. And after that, we change this bool back to nope. So it's kind of the blinking effect. Now, ID 0 is the first bool. Otherwise, you just name the bool. But if you know you have just one bool, just keep it with ID 0. It's counting 0, 1, 2, 3. And then after that, so after a quarter second, you open your eyes again. And after three quarters, you're silencing. You can also say something like, it would be convenient to blink first. So you could go from the interaction right into the bool. So you don't teleport, but you blink and you hear the sound, and then you have the quarter second, and then for you it's black. And when it's black for you, in that moment, you change the level. So you don't see anything, and when you open your eyes, you're somewhere else. What is convenient. Yeah. So the eyes are still closed. You teleport, and then you open your eyes again. So you don't see the transition. Oh, how fancy. You see, it develops while you're building up. You think, how will it look later in the scene? And from that, you build until you're happy. And if it's not working like you want, change it again. We save. And on the button for this here, we now say swoosh is this. And we have no animator so far. So on blink, also add an animator. Then we go into the animation here. And we create an animator controller that says blinker. And we go in the blink. And we set it to this one. And of course, like I said, with the swoosh, the blink could also be something that is used by all buttons. So keep it up here, I would say. Static. The swoosh, also static. And blink has now an animator that is empty. And the first variable in list 0 is just blink. That is per default off. I always create something below the base layer. It's just a habit. We put it on 1 weight, an empty state that is the default. So it is always here. And then we create an animation, and call it blink. And then we drag and drop it in here. And then we say, we transition it from here to there when it's true, up and back when it's false. And the transition time should be a quarter second. Oh, it's per default a quarter second. How convenient. So we already have this. Yeah, it has no exit time. It can always work with a transition without, yeah. And then, of course, the animation needs to know what to do. So we click on record, and then we click on this, zip to 1, and then we say end. And let's just test and look what happens. Without further thinking, let's just, oh, it wouldn't work. It would not work. And you might know why. It would not work because on the button itself, we have not set the blink animator. Don't have none in your Udon scripts, or the whole script will be deactivated for the world, because it would be an error, a null error. So there is an exception that says here is no information where should be one, and then he jumps out. Okay, now we just accomplished to make a fart button. Wonderful. We made a fart button. That is so nice. I always wanted a fart button. So what happens? The blinker. I mean, let's be safe and copy blink from the animator. In our Udon graph. And let's just switch it to string just to be safe. And put in blink on true. So on true, it should blink. It is not global. Then the swoosher plays the sound. And after a quarter second, you say silence. But it should say eyes open. Eyes open teleports the player, says the blink back to 0, waits for another nearly 4 seconds, and then silence. We play it again. Those things are common. You need to test your stuff because of exactly that. That's nice. That's nice. Now you're forever black. Blind. Blackouted, whatever. How to prevent that? Just copy blink and call it unblink. So, and we drag and drop unblink in here. Nah. The default state should be unblink. And unblink is the post-process volume 0. Save. Play again. That's how you erase your mistakes. I, of course, made it on purpose to show you. I really don't like Unity sometimes. Look how nice I am, how many mistakes I show you. Sometimes the behavior, you know, yeah. Always check double. See, it is back again. Always do it when you're not in play mode. Play mode is just testing stuff, but not changing stuff. Yeah, so I showed you buttons and mirror and pedestral stuff and post-processing magic. I would show you one last thing that can be important. late join magic. It's a bonus, yeah. It's bonus because it is fidgety. It is fidgety. You might want these windows to be for everyone. So those windows that are able to get opened, maybe you want it that if one person use it, that everyone has the open window, so you don't see people vanishing behind glass. And how to do this is definitely a bit more complex. So if you don't want to know how to make things networking with each other, then see you in the next video! Because there will be still one video. And this video will be about how to upload and final tweaks and how to make it cross-platform to PC and Quest. The trigger window. It is the thing that contains the magic. We have here already sent a custom network event and then it does it. So for everyone. But what if you are here in the world with a friend for half an hour and then someone else joins and for that bean the window is still closed? And if that bean closed the window, maybe open the window, maybe it closes for you. That would be very inconvenient if states get out of sync. But can you just add object sync like I made it with the player pickup? Nope, because you need to deliver states of animators. And how to do that? This is the magic I want to show you. So when should it happen? On player respawn? No. On player joined. So if anyone is joining you, then it's doing that. So we group this here in the group that we just call, it is the function. And this here is the group that will be late join magic. So when someone joins, you need to check something first. So it will be for everyone. And the player that just joined, you ask, are you the master of the world? The master would be the first person entering the world, so the person that should have the most correct state of the world. So we have this here. The animator is the magic that we need to know. So we get a bool. So we ask, where is the bool? At which value? And it is open. It is the bool open. And we need another question that asks, is the door open or is the door not open? And who are right? The master, true, is always right. So that means that we need two events, because a network event for everyone, if the bool is if it's open or closed, you know. And of course, then we need custom events that fire according to that. And this here, this we copy here the set bool, a rip, and we connect this one and this one and this one and both, and blink for both. And now we say, so is open true, then open true. Otherwise, open false. Is open true, then set it true for everyone. If false, false for everyone. If the game master says the thing is open, then compile. Why are you so slow? Open true. open false. So this is the magic. If someone joins, you check, are you the master? Everyone will say, nope, I'm not. And the master says, yes, I am the master. I look into my values here. What is the state of my bool? And then you fire is true or false of that bool to everyone. And that is then on everyone's device, true or false, to set the value of true or false. And with this magic that is a bit more advanced, but still manageable, if you're playing with friends for hours, I don't think that you will be in this tiny world for hours, but imagine you just have beans and they fell asleep on my cozy carpet here. And then you invite beans later and you already opened this window, it will be open again. And you change nothing here, just in the script, nothing here in the behavior itself to add different things and blah. No, you don't need more than that. Isn't that fancy? And yeah, besides that, I don't know. Do you need anything? For example, my world's essentials, there is something like, I just show you a little thing. I bought clouds and fog by red. It's just an example that I give you before I... Oh, nothing to import. It is already in here. How convenient. Then I go into these. Where are your things? Where have you... There. Prefabs. Prefabs. And then you have clouds. This is some fog. Nice. Drag and drop. It's just what I told you before. Sometimes you just buy something or get it for free from the internet and you're done. You don't need to fidget everything yourself. But if you want to change stuff, it may make sense to know what you're doing and what it is, what you just got. So this here, for example, is a particle effect. Everyone knows particle effects. Or a particle effect is kind of a component here, an object, particle system. Nothing more than that. You have down here in the renderer particles that are like tiled texture. It is like a sprite sheet, you know. Those clouds are like blending through all of the states here. And of the texture. It has this material here, cloud particles fog. And yeah, it blends through all of these. What do we have here? We have a sheet animation for that. So it is an 8x8 grid, so 64 sprites, spaced the same. And with this tiling 8 to 8, 8 times 8, in a grid, the particle system now knows how to toggle through, and then frame over lifetime. You know, it's a linear going through. Easy so far. Color over lifetime. It has an alpha. You see this little chess board here in the end. So the bean made a gradient here that is like white, 100% not looking through in the middle, and 0 on the borders. So you blur kind of like a curve. The shape means the box that spawns the particles. And we can change it. We can say we need more on the Y direction, more on the height, more in this direction, or even a bit more here to cover this, but I could make it smaller and bring it over. Bring it over a bit here. So the ground is in fog. I don't need it so wide. So we could say, is it X? Nope. Is it Z in this case? Nope. It is what? Ah, okay. I'm stupid. Don't mind me. I'm stupid. So like that. And then you have emission that yeah, it emits particles 15 over time. And here, up there are the main things. You might want scaling mode to hierarchy. So if you put it into hierarchy, it always shrinks with the hierarchy and not be on world space, kinder. That's very important for avatars, to be always on hierarchy and scaling mode. But everything else, duration, no, it's just what it says. The lifetime, how long particles last, what's their gravity, do they have gravity or not, how are they behaving. The max particles at 300, that is fine. That is not much and not less. And now you have fog. I don't know if you like how the fogs how the fog the fogs the fog looks. Particles shader unlit. You can even change mode to how does it look if it's multiply. It doesn't seem to do anything. Okay, this is how it looks additive. It looks a bit cut off here on the walls. You could play around with that subtractive. Yeah, it sucks color out, kinda. Overlay. I like it more. This is more subtle. It is totally to your taste. But this is just, you know, just to show you there are things like particle systems and how they can affect what you see. You could do it like have it activated for PC, and if you upload your Quest version, you deactivate it for the Questies. You can do it like that. Yeah, but for uploading the final thing and also bringing it also to Quest, I would say we see each other in another video. I showed you kind of all the basics that you apply in Words to do your stuff. Everything else is usually magic with those node-based systems or even coding in U#, so C# scripts in the slots where I always put the udon magic with noodles because it's quicker. So everything that goes above this is coding, but the all the single fragments, how to create a world, you should know by now. And I will now finish the pedestrals and stuff like that, and we see each other another time. So I hope that elevates your world creation thingies, and we see. I don't know when. I just upload stuff when I'm ready, kinda. So have fun.